Hi everyone, it's Will here. We've come pretty far in our programming studies.
Hi, it's Emma. I wonder what we're going to study today.
Hi everyone. Welcome to Minpro. Today, we are going to talk all about computers.
Minpro.
All about computers? Like what?
We learned a little about the 5 major devices and machine language in the beginning.
Today we will talk about the computer's hardware and system.
So it's a little different than programming.
Well, no. When we program, we have to think about the hardware too. So it is important to know all about computers.
You won't get far if you only know about software.
Okay, I'll listen carefully.
In Chapter 2, we talked about how computers are made of many switches.
I was surprised that there are more than 1 million mounted within the size of a 1-cent coin.
This piece, the size of a 1-cent coin, is the CPU, the most important computer component. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit. Humans have been making the CPUs more and more high performance so we can make calculations faster. Nowadays, there are even some that have 10 billion switches.
Wait, isn't that too many? That's 10,000 times a million.
The CPU was first made in the 1970s at about 2,000 switches.
Just 2,000?
The number has doubled every 2 years. This is called Moore's Law.
If the number doubles in 2 years, and it has been more than 50 years since 1970, how many times is it now?
2 times 2 times 2 times.
It's 2 to the power of 25, that is, 2 multiplied 25 times, so about 33 million times.
2,000 times 33 million is 66 billion, so it's a little less.
The momentum of increase has slowed down in recent years.
Why? Science is advancing, so shouldn't the number also be increasing?
Well, designers have made the switches smaller so that the number can be increased. But now the switches are too small and can't be made properly.
How small is too small?
100 nanometer, or 1/10 millionth of a meter. It's about the same size as a virus.
I can't even imagine the size.
If the size of the switch is the same as a 1-cent coin, a 1-cent coin-sized CPU will be as big as 8 football fields.
So 8 football fields are filled up with coins?
Yes, a field of coins for as far as you can see.
The world of computers is often far removed from our regular lives.
Have there been other types of progress?
In the early days, the switch moved at a speed of 500 kilohertz. It turned on and off 500,000 times in 1 second.
I think that's plenty fast. How fast do they move now?
They move at 5 gigahertz. That means it can turn on and off 5 billion times in 1 second.
Wow! The speed is also 10,000 times faster than in the old days.
The number of switches and the speed of turning on and off increases the calculation speed, so they are getting more and faster and faster. More electricity is used when the speed increases, so they can't make them any faster.
They have reached their limit.
Instead, a method to connect many CPUs and move them simultaneously to increase the calculation speed has been created. This is called parallel processing. Thousands and tens of thousands of CPUs were connected to create a computer with a fast calculating speed. This is the supercomputer. The primary purpose of the supercomputer is to perform scientific calculations. Today's weather forecasts are calculated with a supercomputer. The paths of typhoons are predicted this way too.
You can tell the weather by calculating?
Meteorologists use a tremendous amount of calculations based on lots of information, including the flow of the Earth's air, atmospheric pressure, the temperature of ocean water, the location of mountains, rivers, and towns, and current weather in each area. They can see how the weather will change. There's also a supercomputer called the Earth Simulator. It can predict global warming and calculate the size and speed of tsunamis when earthquakes strike.
So the experts look at the calculated results and plan countermeasures?
That's right. They can plan useful measures, such as building levees and evacuation sites, because they know where and how much rain might fall or how many meters the waves might be.
I think I heard that Japan's supercomputer is the world's fastest.
Do you mean Fugaku? I saw it in the newspaper.
You both know about it. The world's fastest supercomputer in 2020 is Japan's Fugaku. Fast computers are made every year around the world, so I'm sure there will be a faster one soon.
The world's fastest. How fast is that?
Supercomputers are compared by how fast they perform scientific calculations. In science, decimal numbers, such as 157.3 or 0.84, are calculated. In computer language, this is called floating point operations. The number of floating point operations in a second is compared. The unit is called flops. Fugaku's computing speed is 400 petaflops. Recent personal computers are about 50 gigaflops. Peta is a digit that represents 1 quadrillion, and giga digit that represents 1 billion. Fugaku is 8 million times faster than a personal computer. That means a formula that takes a personal computer 3 months can be computed in just 1 second by Fugaku.
Wow! How can it calculate so fast?
150,000 CPUs are connected and move together.
Since it's 8 million times faster than a personal computer, a single CPU is more than 50 times faster than a personal computer.
That's because it is a computer dedicated to computing. You might be interested to know that it costs 100 billion yen. If a personal computer costs 100,000 yen, it is a million times more expensive. The speed is 8 million times faster, so speed-wise, it is a saving of 8-fold.
A saving? It's not a supermarket, so it's hard to imagine.
It means the speed and price are both super.
By the way, do you know which countries build supercomputers?
Well, Japan and the United States. I don't know.
Maybe China?
That's right. Countries that have the technology to build supercomputers are Japan, the United States, and China. Japan's computer technology is impressive. But China built the world's fastest supercomputer in just 5 years after building its first supercomputer in 2005. Since then, the 3 countries of Japan, the United States, and China have been competing for the top spot about every 2 to 3 years.
I'd like to hear about computers that are more familiar to us.
You just want to hear about game computers.
Game screens have significantly advanced, such as the display speed, 3D expressions, and the number of colors. One of the parts is the GPU that was designed to perform calculations for screen displays. The GPU or graphics processing unit is a computer that calculates the coordinates and shading needed to draw 3-dimensional images required for image processing. The GPU makes it possible to calculate and create lifelike images, often used in movies and games. Have you ever heard of the term CG? It means computer graphics.
The movie Frozen was so pretty.
If you're talking movies, Lion King was better. The animals seem so lifelike.
With car race games, you can play with images that look like the real thing.
See, we're back to talking about games.
Will, you seem to know all about game units, so let's talk about cars.
A car's computer, do you mean a navigation unit?
It's so useful because it tells us the route. My dad uses it all the time.
A car has many computers other than the navigation unit. The engine, brakes, steering wheel, instruments, air conditioner, door key, opening and closing the windows. These are all moved by computers.
That many?
That's right. Even the door key uses a remote control.
An automobile has several dozen computers. Each one is a small computer. Each computer has a task and is connected over a network to a computer that manages all of the computers. This method is called distributed processing.
Is there something good about it?
Well, imagine you are decorating your house at Christmas. It's a lot of work for one person to complete, but if everyone works together, it can be done easily and quickly. You need about 10 hands to complete the work at the same time. In the same way, if there's only one computer, it has to work really fast.
A supercomputer could do that, but it's too expensive.
That's right. When the work is split up, each task is simple, so small computers can complete the job. It makes it easiest for the computer that's managing all of the work.
It's a computer like the class committee.
The computer that moves machines must be able to respond immediately if there's a problem. This is called responsiveness. In a car, the computer responds in about 1/100th of a second to 1/1000th of a second.
Do they have to move so quickly?
When traveling, the engine revolves about 2,000 times in 1 minute. That's about 33 revolutions in 1 second. It takes only 0.03 seconds to make one revolution, so the engine's operation is checked about 30 times every 1/1000th of a second.
Wow! It's rotating so fast that you can see it. No wonder the computer needs to be fast.
Can it be slower if it is not for the engine?
Let's check with a responsiveness experimental program.
One second is too slow.
0.1 seconds should be okay.
It's okay for a car window, but it's not acceptable for a game button.
Why?
If your character doesn't move immediately after the button is pressed, you can't block the enemy's attack, and your punches won't strike them.
Oh, you're talking about a battle game.
For battle games, the screen display speed is about 1/60th of a second, so the button response time is less than 1/100th of a second.
It's super important.
Okay, I get it.
Let's get back to cars. In recent cars, functions for automatic braking or following the car in front have become common. Autonomous driving will also become possible soon. Autonomous driving combines the robot from Chapter 5 and AI from Chapter 6. The computer drives to the destination while monitoring the surrounding situation with components such as cameras, radars, and ultrasonic sensors. There are many useful things we can do by combining technologies.
I often see commercials for autonomous driving. Isn't it already possible?
Those commercials where the driver lets go of the steering wheel. It's a little scary.
Right now, the computer can only drive under certain predetermined conditions. A human must constantly monitor it. Computers are still learning how to drive automatically.
We have to think of safety first.
That's right. Even if they are helpful, we don't need them if they are dangerous.
Next, let's talk about an entirely new type of computer. Experts are building a computer that uses new methods to perform calculations that take a long time, even for supercomputers. It's called a quantum computer.
What's a quantum?
I bet it's going to be a complicated explanation. Are you ready, Will?
I'll try to explain it as simply as possible, but it might be difficult. Atoms that form things are made up of even smaller matter called subatomic particles. Subatomic particles have the properties of a weighted mass and waves like radio waves. The substance with both of these properties is called a quantum. The quantum computer performs calculations by using the properties of the quantum waves.
Just like I thought. It's complicated. I'll leave the rest to you.
What are you saying? You can't run away now.
The image of a quantum computer is to give a data and scoop up the answers.
So it doesn't compute with binaries using switches?
Well, if you think of it that way. The quantum computer uses a quantum switch to calculate numbers called qubits, which can express many binaries together. Many numbers can be calculated at once, so the speed might be several hundred times faster than a regular computer.
Alright, I get that it's different from the computers we talked about.
How is it programmed?
We use a language called Quantum Computation Language or QCL. Quantum computers are still in the research stage, so the content and program will continue to evolve.
I wonder if we'll ever get to use one.
Quantum computers won't perform all the calculations, so they will probably be used together with regular computers, taking on the calculations the regular computer has a hard time with.
So they'll share the calculations.
You might have calculations that can't be performed with a personal computer or smartphone, but you can do them if you're connected to the internet.
In the future, we might see the results of quantum computer calculations on our smartphones without knowing it.
Is it like two computers connected to the internet to make one computer?
That's the good thing about distributed processing. That's all for today.
There's so much to learn about computers.
I think I understand computers a little better now.
We'll talk all about computers part 2 and look at the 5 major devices in the next session.
Bye bye.
See you soon.